you serious? Are you serious? Mass animal deaths. Mass animal deaths. This is not something that's going to ever go away. Matter of fact, do you realize that this year there's been 472 known mass animal deaths in 77 countries of the world? Matter of fact, just this year, just this month. Well, let's talk October. Let's just talk October. October 3rd. Matter of fact, September 30th, just throw this in. 32,000 cattle died in Bolivia. In October the 3rd, 60 tons of dead fish in a lake in Hanoi, Vietnam. October 3rd, a large die-off of fish in Arkansas. October 4th, large number of dead fish in a river in Paraguay. October 5th, dozens of dead birds turning up in Weeks Bay, Alabama. October 6th, a large die-off of fish washing up along the river in Sweden. October 6th, a mass die-off of fish in the waters of Argentina. October 7th, 69,000 birds were killed in the waters of Argentina. Were killed due to the flu in Argentina. October 7th, large amount of dead fish washing ashore in Naples, Florida. October 9th, hundreds of thousands of dead poultry had to be killed because of the avian flu in China. October 10th, millions of dead fish after typhoons went through South Korea. October 11th, thousands of dead fish washed up on the shores of Louisiana. October 12th, 7 dead dolphins found washed up in the shores of Canada. Are you serious? October 12th, 1.5 million dead fish in the fish farms of Turkey. October 13th, 20 tons of dead fish died suddenly in a fish farm in Indonesia. October 13th, millions of chickens dead, but this time from a flooding in North Carolina. October 14th, hundreds of dead duckfish washed up on the coasts of India. October 15th, hundreds of dead fish washed up on the beach, Saudi Arabia. Are you serious? October 15th, thousands of dead fish washing up on the beaches in Wales. And October 15th, 12 dead whales washed up in Taiwan. Also, October 16th, 10 dead sea lions and dolphins found on the coast in Peru. October 18th, thousands of dead fish found in a lake in Brazil. October 18th, hundreds of dead fish washed up in Marco Island, Florida. That's a beautiful, you talk about a beautiful place. That's a beautiful. Hosea prophecy is not about pollution, folks. Oh, that could cause some, but it's about the sin of mankind. October 20th, mass die-off of fish in the waters in Turkey. And of course, 10,000 dead frogs just died in Peru. Remember what Hosea chapter 4 said, and we read that in a video earlier this morning. But for you that are watching this, here's the 3 verses. Hosea the prophet said, "Here," and this is chapter 4, Hosea chapter 4. "Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel, for the Lord has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood touches blood. Therefore the land mourns, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, yea, and the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away." Give your life to Jesus Christ. The apocalyptic, cataclysmic, catastrophic events of the end times are upon us. Christ is coming soon. Are you saved? We're running out of time.
Back now to our top story, a terrible mystery gripping the world right now. Birds, fish, and all kinds of creatures just dropping dead in huge numbers for what seems like no reason. Just in the last 2 weeks, the theories and speculation running rampant, including possible fireworks-related deaths, to questions about whether this is all a sign of the apocalypse. How exactly is the science world explaining this, though? Michio Kaku is professor of physics at City University in New York and author of the soon-to-be-released Physics of the Future. All right, Michio, so I just want our viewers to know that you graduated #1 in your physics class at Harvard, which, you know, I mean, I got an A in torts at Albany Law School, but you seem to know what you're talking about. And how do you, big-brained man, explain Let me just give the viewers a feeling. 8,000 dead turtle doves in Italy. Hundreds of birds dead in Rockwell, Texas. 500 red-winged blackbirds in Louisiana. 100 birds in Sweden. 3,000 dead red-winged blackbirds in Arkansas. Several hundred dead in Kentucky. On the fish, several hundred snapper fish in New Zealand. Thousands of dead fish in Florida. 40,000 devil crabs in the UK. 80,000 drumfish in Arkansas. 2 million spot and croakers in Maryland in the last 2 weeks.
All the evidence points to a mass suicide of thousands of red-winged blackbirds that followed the leader bird that got disoriented. The red-winged blackbird flies in tight formation, and they have very bad eyesight. And if the lead bird gets disoriented by fireworks, thunderstorm, or lightning, they could be led into mass suicide like lemmings going over a cliff. And believe
Why
it
would
or
it be
not,
happening all at the same time with these red-winged blackbirds are really the biggest casualties?
believe it or not, these things happen all the time. The U.S. Geological Survey says that in the last 30 years, there have been 16 incidences, one every other year, of a mass die-off of red-winged blackbirds of over 1,000 at a time. And if you look at random events of die-offs of all animals, it turns out that on average, 163 die-offs take place every year. That's one every other day.
We've had so is it just that we're paying more attention this time?
That's it. It turns out that these die-offs are just below the radar. They happen all the time. In fact, in 1996, there were almost 250,000 ducks that died in Canada. A catastrophic number of ducks that died in Canada. Didn't make the headlines at all.
Same thing. You have the same answer when it comes to the fish. It's not just the badly sighted blackbirds.
Well, there are three possibilities: chemical poisoning, pathogens, and trauma. Now, with the fish, you can rule out chemical poisoning because 95% of all the dead fish were from one species, the bottom-feeding drumfish. So probably it was disease. But it takes a month to culture the tissue to find out exactly what pathogen was involved. So for the fish, it was probably a pathogen of some sort.
So for those who are genuinely asking whether this could be some sign of the apocalypse, or as they're calling it, the aflocalypse, the beginning of the end, as the Mayan calendar projects in 2012 is going to happen, you say what?
I say this happens all the time. Get used to it. That we have the media now that is everywhere. The internet, people with cell phones taking pictures of things. We're seeing things that never hit the national media, international media before. Now we're wired. We're all connected. And things that were below the radar are now being seen. And something like this hit critical mass. And then it hit the international media.
Should human beings be worried? Are we next on this weird, conflagration of species deaths?
We could be next for a different reason. But as far as trauma, chemical poisoning, and as far as pathogens are concerned, this was an isolated event that does happen. We just have to get used to that fact. And as the media gets better, as people have more cell phones, as people have more internet connections, we're going to see more of these things.
Let me just ask you before I let you go. When you wind up first in your physics class at Harvard, which is a bunch of big brain people, do they hate you? Tell us the truth. Do you feel ostracized? They don't ask you out for drinks after that anymore, do they?
No, my friends, they were all top physicists from their universities. So
yeah, those other universities you may have heard, not Harvard. Right. But in any event, Mitch Yu, always a pleasure.
Okay.
So nothing to worry about. That's the bottom line. It happens all the time. There you go. And pay no attention to the snow behind us. It's not hurting anybody as far as we know.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Mass animal deaths. Mass animal deaths. This is not something that's going to ever go away. Matter of fact, do you realize that this year there's been 472 known mass animal deaths in 77 countries of the world? Matter of fact, just this year, just this month. Well, let's talk October. Let's just talk October. October 3rd. Matter of fact, September 30th, just throw this in. 32,000 cattle died in Bolivia. In October the 3rd, 60 tons of dead fish in a lake in Hanoi, Vietnam. October 3rd, a large die-off of fish in Arkansas. October 4th, large number of dead fish in a river in Paraguay. October 5th, dozens of dead birds turning up in Weeks Bay, Alabama. October 6th, a large die-off of fish washing up along the river in Sweden. October 6th, a mass die-off